Now we will have a presentation on Monsanto Town by two speakers, whom I will briefly introduce. Matthew Fluharty is the founder and executive director of the Art of the Rural, a national organization that advances rural culture and quality of life through knowledge building and rural-urban exchange. He is a member of the M12 Studio, an award-winning interdisciplinary group of artists, researchers, and writers, and he serves on the board of directors of Common Field, a national effort that connects, supports, and advocates for the artist-centered field. Matthew is a co-director of the American Bottom Project. In late 2019, Colorfield, a book of poems, essays, and visual fieldwork in rural places, will be published both in the US and in Europe by Last Chance Press. Matthew is co-curating The River, an exhibition opening at the Minnesota Museum of American Art in February 2020. And High Visibility on Location in Rural America, opening at the Plains Art Museum in November 2020. So many activities. The other speaker is Jennifer Colten. Her work focuses on ambiguous landscapes and histories of cultural and geographical space. Her photographic practice commits to an exploration of sites at the margins of the urban environment where resilience and ecological transformations are present. Central concerns consider complex and intertwined issues of the social, cultural, and environmental implications of land use. Jennifer Colten has received a number of grants. There's a long list, which I will not read to you, but perhaps more relevant to the moment is that her photographs are in collections nationally and internationally. So if you go to these collections, look for her photographs. They include the Denver Art Museum, the Museum Hundertwasser in Vienna, the Museum of Photography in Braunschweig in Germany, the Missouri History Museum, and the National Buildings Art Center, as well as the Museo de Antioquia in Medellin, Colombia. So wherever you go, you will meet her photographs. So please come here and give your talk on Monsanto Town. I don't know how you're arranging this.
Hey, how are you all doing? It's really great to be with you all this morning. We just want to thank Hakeve, Max Planck, and all of the organizations and individuals which have made this possible. We're grateful to be with you and to have a little bit of your time this morning. At the root of Monsanto Town is an effort through fieldwork research and community conversations to sit with and share and understand how the Anthropocenic age is embodied in communities. And I think maybe a way to begin that is to recognize if anybody in their own bodies needs to stand up and stretch or like just move, now is a good moment. I'm going to talk for a few minutes about this slide, so here's an opportunity for your bodies to express themselves. If you need that, so thank you. I need it. Oh, there we go. Yes. All right, so for decades, the figure of Monsanto has loomed across our global Anthropocene and has really been very visible throughout our time together this entire morning. It's been a confounding and monolithic presence, yet also in many ways a faceless specter that's really responsible for impacts as wide as Agent Orange, genetically modified crops, and a host of devastating community and environmental challenges. Monsanto has been an active agent for the acceleration that we associate with the Anthropocene. And Monsanto has also been one of the entities associated with the ramifications of the landmark Citizens United case that established corporate personhood. So ironically, in the midst of our acknowledged and very visible environmental and cultural crisis, and during a political moment that upholds the notion that corporations are people, Monsanto operates in this echelon with few placed individual stories and particulars on which to grasp. And in recent months, this quality has only been amplified through Bayer's acquisition of Monsanto and news that the Monsanto brand will be phased out. So what we're seeking to do together is to help observe, listen, and sit with the lived, placed story that is on the other side of that partition, and to share the multi-generational knowledge that is contained therein. Here we go. We're going to make this work. Oh, great. So we know Monsanto as a large global entity, but that story really begins here in the American bottom. It's a local story with a local context. As we're on our walk later today, and as we ascend Monk's Mound, if we look to the south and a little bit to the west, we'll see a town, an industrial suburb known as Sauget, which is pretty much a regulation-free zone for industry and for business. This town of 159 people was established in 1926 as Monsanto Town. Monsanto began in that community just about 90 years ago. There we go. So Monsanto or Sauget is home to a deep set of contradictions. Like on one hand, it has a really amazing, thriving minor league baseball club, but also multiple Superfund sites. All of that sort of overlaid across a set of industrial complexes, but also small town streets that almost resemble the landscape of rural America within sort of a thick industrial corridor. Up until the name change, so Monsanto Town was Monsanto Town until 1977. When Monsanto, after sort of receiving national and international attention around its PCB manufacturing, decided to move to the West County and for Monsanto Town to be called Sauget, and it sort of signaled Monsanto's really, like on some level, kind of amazing pivot into agribusiness from what they were doing previously. That leaves this town in sort of an interesting and kind of ambiguous space because we have all kinds of industry, everything from a zinc smelting facility to chemical treatment plant, a wastewater treatment plant that serves the entire Metro East region, as well as Sero Flow Products, which creates the little blue urinal discs that are going to be ubiquitous across the areas that we are traveling in the next couple days. These regulations are sort of loose in a number of ways. The American bottom is known really for not only sort of a loose tax structure, but also a host of a regulation-free zone for gentlemen's clubs, and there are a number of them in Sauget as well. So that's one side of Sauget, but there's another side, and it's a side that we're really seeking to share and to understand throughout this work. It's the other side of corporate personhood, and this kind of increasingly invisible presence that Monsanto is going to have. This is a space where we're trying to open up and consider how the Anthropocene is embodied in everyday life in this community. Embodiment is sort of a term that we're really thinking about, how that everyday vernacular practice is visible across these industrial sites. And it's an effort to sort of find different pathways into a set of concerns that sometimes are very rhetorical and very theoretical. Asking questions, just about what it is like to live and work in this place. And so our first move is to do some work looking at the various Monsanto archives that exist in this region. There's one at Washington University in St. Louis and another at the Missouri Historical Society. And these are really rich, complex images that I can in no way sort of deeply detail at this point. But they mark these sort of intersections of everyday life, in industry, and the cultural landscape. And I think our hope is that through this attention to the archives, we'll discover in the process sort of these unrecognized sort of memory systems that archives can give us. So if I, just pointer button, oh yeah, okay, cool. So we have here like in a structure of employees that I think is also sort of an unrecognized memory system. We have J.H. Kernan, our personnel director for the Monsanto, Illinois plant. Oh, hold on. Who also was voted the homeliest man. These are from internal, these really wonderful sort of interwar publications that a lot of factories, there are some amazing ones at the Wood River Museum if folks have a chance to go back that Shell created as well. So these are really documents that show the other side of sort of our popular notions of what's occurring inside of these industrial sites. And this really just is just a very small taste. Opening days in 2 weeks. I just wanted to show you the Monsanto baseball team. This league of industrial sites continues to this day as a semi-pro league. That's another avenue we're interested in. as well as these photographs were taken by a photographer named Sievers. They exist in an archive in the Missouri Historical Society. But these are just incredibly wonderful photographs that are going to be further touchstones to thinking through these connections with the contemporary everyday life inside of Sauget. So through activating these methods, both archival and sort of community-based work, our project is trying to locate how, contrary to the popular mythos of this industrial suburb, whether referring to it present day as Sauget or as past tense Monsanto town, there's a very rich narrative here for one of the epicenters of the Anthropocene that can be powerfully understood as well through its vernacular everyday practice and how that has shaped the place and the landscape. And so a large part of this as well has really pivoted along kind of with the work that the American Bottom Project has been doing over the last 5 years, and in particular the absolutely extraordinary photographs that Jen Colten has been making during this time. And would you like to talk for a moment about just how we're operating the region and some of the connections we have?
Sure. So the way in which we operate, the way in which we work together is really essential. Part of it is, through a lot of shared experiences amongst ourselves, but also, more importantly, or as importantly, going to people in the region, talking with people in the region, listening to stories. In addition to, as we listen to stories, I go out and I photograph, and we kind of share back and forth things from archives to recordings to photographs, and through that we're building a much larger archive that represents something, only a very small portion of what I think some of you are now getting a sense of, is this very rich, very layered, and very complex and very interesting region that is the American Bottom. So I don't know what else you want.
We really need two mics. We could.
Yeah. Shall we go on to the? You want to talk about this?
Yeah, we could jump ahead.
Well, actually, wait. Maybe I should. So I should say this. Some of you saw this. May have seen this slide yesterday, but it is representative of how we work in some ways. And so here's a photograph that I've made that was made in the American Bottom. This place that is located is in the village hall in Sauget, in the mayor's office. I'll talk a little bit more about sort of all of the things that exist in this amazing village hall, but part of our practice is placing work that's made within this space back into this space in various places, like village hall, like mayor's office, like libraries, and so forth.
Yeah, I think that's a texture throughout a lot of our work is, I think through the processes that we have, I think continually trying to ask questions about how we can share value, how we can create and share value with folks. And kind of where this project is our invitation for y'all to come join us in October as the river journey occurs. I think where this project will lead in the short term, when we look towards early October, is an exhibition in a mobile trailer at Sauget Village Hall, that will share some of the archival work as well as some of the contemporary photographs, as well as a newsprint publication connected to the American Bottom Gazette. And also, I think really importantly, a community cookout, ideally at Village Hall as well, which will give us an opportunity. There are 159 residents in Sauget, so everyone from the community is legitimately and honestly welcome. We can all have some barbecue together and see what happens. So with that, thank you for your all's time. Is there anything else?
No, I think that's good.